As a once devout Christian who's recently deconverted to atheism, I'll discuss in this video the fears that attended my path. I'll ignore some of my more immediate concerns, for instance regarding friends and family, and focus on 4 deeper existential worries I grappled with as I left a religion that promised solutions. First was the universal trepidation concerning death, to allay which Christianity promises certain eternal bliss. As my faith waned, I not only felt terror of hell, which subsided quickly when I lost belief in it, but also the more primal apprehension of death itself. Yet once I no longer believed in a soul or afterlife, death lost its sting. Imagine you're going to die in your sleep tonight, but you don't know it. Your conscious experience today will be unaffected by the unknown fact that you'll remain in oblivion and not wake up tomorrow. That you've died will not bother you when you're dead, because you will be dead, and there will be no more you. That's not to say I don't fear dying. That's different. In my job I see many unpleasant deaths. But this is unaffected by religion, and openness to euthanasia may give me an edge. The second existential dread involved contemplating the contingency of existence. The dismay of pondering our slavery to the universe's whim had been mitigated by the doctrines of absolute sovereignty and predestination I espoused in Calvinism. Yet it was replaced by the horror of beholding the sheer caprice of my selection for election rather than reprobation. Though existence seemed to involve walking over a chasm of uncertainty on a paper-thin covering, I found comfort in knowing I was held in God's almighty hand. Odd glimpses into the existential void without seemed to strengthen my security. It was like floating in deep water at night, invisibly upheld. Once an atheist, I found surprising serenity in acknowledging there was no upholding hand. Rather, the buoyancy supporting me was my own, and there I remained stable, like a planet dangling securely in space. I embraced my contingency, from the random confluence of stardust and evolution's meandering directionless journey, all the way up to an ovum's fertilization by one chance sperm of billions, and my consequent fortuitous few moments of life before I decompose into the biome that briefly lent me its atoms. My third fear was that of the infinite, which is the core of cosmic horror, and runs deeper than anxiety about eternal torment. Despite losing the comforting belief in an instantiated infinite in the form of a benevolent God, as I embraced atheism, I began to see the beauty of the cosmic vastness that unfathomably dwarfs us. As Schopenhauer points out, those objects that menace us with irresistible power, if quietly contemplated, engender the sublime, one of the most engaging of our aesthetic senses. Many artists have striven for sublimity. The painter John Martin evoked it with incomprehensibly colossal scale, as in Belshazzar's Feast, and the destruction of Pompeii and Herculaneum. An example of sublimity in poetry is Keats' description of a quiet day's ending, in like the passage of an angel's tear that falls through the clear aether silently. Wagner claimed Beethoven had achieved the sublime in music. I think Mahler did too. I began to see sublimity, rather than cosmic horror, in the universe's spatial and temporal immensity, my own little conscious speck floating transiently in it like the angel's tear. The last, deepest existential dread I wrestled with was that of meaninglessness. This also had a facile solution in Christianity, rejecting which opened richer vistas. As a Presbyterian, meaning was concrete. Man's chief end is to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. But as I outgrew God, a universe that had seemed a disturbing abyss of futility now seemed a blank block of hewn marble, ready for me to chisel out a meaning for myself. Accepting the world's lack of identifiable purpose was not only honest, but thrilling. Standing now outside Christianity's pale, with its glib, dissatisfying answers, I revel in the fulfillment of embracing my contingent, infinitesimal, meaningless mortality, ready to forge something worthy of the conceptions of infinity and eternity which my wet mess of neurons happens to be capable of conjuring up.